So this morning we are going to be changing the blades on my handy little Makita electric planer, power planer. This is a model 1900B. Really great machine, fairly simple to use, really easy to exchange the blades. I was looking online, there weren't too many videos on exactly how to do it. There's a couple that are not really doing it correctly either, so here we go. I'm exchanging my blades because I apparently hit something and one of the blades snapped a chunk off. Plus I've been using them for a while, so they need to be replaced. Now these are double-sided blades. As you can see here, there's a groove down the middle, one blade on either side. Be very careful handling them, they're super sharp. Even worn out blades are still very, very sharp. Can cut your fingers very easily. So we're going to start by first loosening these three main bolts that hold this piece in and the blade. Now when you buy the Makita, it comes with this nice little handy tool for removing these bolts. Fits right on there, but for whatever reason, if you don't have that, just use a little 9mm. I can't get it to focus on it, but little 9mm fits the exact same thing. I've already pre-loosened them, so we can loosen them by hand now and pull them out. Now that we've gotten them loose, this blade can come out. But again, we need to be very careful because they're very sharp. So I just use a small little pencil tip here to push it out enough that I can grab it and pull it straight out. As you can see, that blade is pretty worn. Now since it's broke, I cannot reverse it because it broke off more than that side there. But either way, so we're going to continue to pull these bolts out. Okay, now that we have the last bolt loose, and pull that out, this whole little guard that holds all that in comes out. Then we have a little two-piece unit here that can come out. So you've got, the back side has an adjustment guide, and this is the actual piece that holds the blade in. When you flip it over, these little grooves right here are what fit into the grooves on the top side of the blade to hold it in place. So, but as you can see, both those blades were bad. So we're going to now loosen this. So now that we have this free, where we can easily move it with our fingers back and forth, we come over here, which is our little blade holder for the blades. We take a fresh blade, set it in there up against the edge of that with the groove upwards. Now, one thing real quick, these blades are super cheap. I mean, this was $9 for a set of blades. They're tungsten carbide blades, double-sided, really easy to replace like we're doing here, and cheap enough that we can do it every so often and not have to worry about, you know, the expense. So anyway, getting back, we have our blade in there. We're going to set that on there, push the blade. We want to make sure that those little lines on the front set into that groove, because on the back side is where they stick out, and they'll set into the groove on the blade. Then we're going to push the blade up against the edge of the guide, and then we will slide this depth gauge out and back in till it's flush with the back side of this squared up. Now we know our blade is adjusted correctly. So now we're going to tighten these two screws back down tightly. So now we cannot move this anymore, and it'll still sit flush with that. So now we put this back into the Makita. So as you can see, this is also a good time to clean out all your little dust particles. There's some chunks all over this and in different places that might cause, you know, it not to tighten down correctly. So you can dust that off. There's a little bit of dust in here that gets clumped up. You can clean that off. But you see there's a little line back there. That is where the back side of your adjuster plate slides into. So we're gonna go in one way, back it up right into that, and we're lined up over the holes. So now we can take our guard, put our guard back over it, and we're going to loosely put those 3 bolts back in. So now we've got the bolts in place, but we still have a little bit of play up and down so that we can slide the blade in. So again, being very careful, we are going to lift up and slide this blade in. Again, making sure that this groove on the blade goes under these 2 lines, which hold that blade securely. Not in front of it, not behind it. Because that is, and we already set that to the right depth using that depth gauge that came with the Makita. And if you don't have that depth gauge, you can get them on eBay, Amazon, fairly cheap, a few bucks. So we want to make sure that there's enough clearance between this end and this end that it's not going to hit. So we just turn it ever so slightly and make sure that it doesn't hit on either side. And now we're going to tighten them up tight. So now that we've gone back and forth over and over, made sure all these are tight, that we can't turn anymore without stripping those threads, we can spin this, make sure that we have full clearance. And I've already replaced the second blade. These are 2 blade systems. And now we should be good because everything spins and clearly without touching. So we'll now do a little test run to see how it looks and make sure everything's uniform. We've got a little piece of scrap 2x4 in my table clamp. We've got the planer and we're going to give it a little test run. Looks pretty good. Very clean, very flat. So, that's our replaced blades. I want to thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, leave your comments, and follow me on Instagram and Facebook as well. Love of the Grain Workshop.